Well, hello everyone and welcome to my video, and I want to share with you a little bit of a heart-to-heart. This heart-to-heart comes in a little envelope. Not quite so little, it's this size. This heart-to-heart has to do with a lovely woman named Nancy. And what I'm about to share with you, I think you'll understand why this is more important to me than you'll ever realize. Welcome back, and this is a heart-to-heart, and I'm going to show you what's inside this little envelope that came from Nancy. But first of all, I have to tell you a little bit of a background. So I did a video on my product review of going to the Mennonite bookstore, and I showed all the amazing things that I got at the Mennonite bookstore and how much fun I had. What I didn't show you on that video, and I never spoke in public, never told anybody about this, was there was magazines there, and they were called there was a kind of magazine that I have always wanted. Ever since it was published, I don't know, maybe back in the 90s, maybe early 2000s. It was called Keepers of Home. And this was a publication I always wish I had, but it's not very cheap. It's fairly expensive, and it only comes, I think, for a year. I'm not even sure about that. But when we went to the Mennonite little bookstore, they had these, and they had these magazines, but they wanted $2.50 a piece. I simply didn't have that kind of money to buy a bunch of magazines that were $2.50. So I never said anything to anyone, and we went home. I have longed for these magazines for a long, like I said, as long as I can remember. And I just didn't feel I should spend for them, whatever. I don't even know why I never got them. But I want to talk to you a little bit about the Lord. And the Lord cares for us, even in the small things of our life. Over the years on my YouTube channel, I would share with people how the Lord has fulfilled some things in my life that were wants. And He's also fulfilled things that are needs. I've often shared with people that. I shared with people about a washing machine that was given to me by subscribers that have become very good friends of ours. They actually stopped in our house and they talked to us. Well, this was something that was a want, and I always thought it'd be fun to have this magazine, and I didn't really think much about it. I thought, well, for $2.50, I'm not going to buy that used magazine for $2.50. And I never, honestly, I have never told anybody about this magazine. So I decided when I saw them for $2.50 and I wasn't going to buy them used, I prayed to the Lord. I said, Lord, hey, maybe at the thrift store, could you sometime maybe have some of these magazines for me that would be cheaper, you know, that I could buy? That's exactly what I said. I said, I really wish I could have these magazines. That was between me and the Lord, no one else. Hubby didn't even know it. Nobody knew about it. Well, I got an email. And that email was from Nancy. And she said, hey, Tessie, I've been getting this magazine for a while now, and I don't know what to do with them. She said, you wouldn't perhaps like to have them. I hate throwing them away. The only thing I could get out of my mouth was, oh my word, oh my word, oh my word, oh my word. Hubby was sitting in the room and he's like, what's the matter, Tessie? Now what's wrong? I'm like, oh my word, I cannot believe this. I'm like, you will not believe this. I said, God heard my prayers. Now, some of you may scoff at this and say, oh my word, not you again and this God thing, and God's doing this and God's doing that. Oh yes, without a shadow of a doubt, as I am breathing right now, this was a God thing because nobody knew it. Nancy didn't know it. Nobody knew that I wanted these magazines. Nobody knew that I had a heart's desire to have these magazines. Nobody knew that I asked the Lord that maybe somehow He could provide some magazines for me. I was never thinking that somebody would have them to give them. I thought, well, maybe at the thrift store. I could ask the Lord that someday somebody would donate them. I told Nancy immediately, exactly this story. I told Nancy immediately, you will not believe this, but the Lord has heard my prayers, and he answered my prayers, and Nancy was blessed. And Nancy said, well, from now on, when I read the magazines, I'll just bring them and ship them over to you. Nancy gave me a card, and this heart to heart has to do with a lot. Not about the magazines, not about Nancy, not about any of that, but it has to do with the power of prayer. I hope you enjoyed these Keeper at Home magazines. I included some stickers that maybe you could use for your craft projects or even give to your granddaughters. You see, my friends, it's more than just me, more than just Nancy. Something simple. It was nothing life-changing. It was nothing a big request, but it was a simple request, and God answered it. I don't care what anybody says. They can scoff all they want. They can say, oh, well, that's just coincidental. I don't care, because I know that it's a God thing, because no one else knew it. Only me and God. No one else knew it. And to have something answered in such a tangible way was a direct telling me that God cared. One of the biggest things that people will say to me is, people who do not have the same faith as me, one of the biggest things they'll say is, will you explain to me, Tessie, how comes God lets bad things happen to good people? That's the number one thing they will always say. They have always said that for the years that I've been on YouTube. Well, if your God's so great, then why does he let bad things happen? Well, you know, I don't have the answer to that. I don't know why bad things happen to good people, but I have a theory, and my theory is this. If you become a Christian and everything in your life is perfect, once you become a Christian and you have, everything's great, how can you witness to other people? You know, I believe that Christians go through a lot because I believe it is to test their character, and I believe it's to give them a story. Your testimony is your testament, is your story. And without a testament, a testimony, a testing, you have no story. I see it this way. People see you that go through hard things. People see that you go through hardships, but they see you have something, peace that passes all understanding. They see that you have happiness, even in the times of great sorrow. They see that you have strength and faith. People want to know what that is, and they want to have it too. I believe that God allows bad things happen to good people in order to make them stronger, in order to build character, in order to change other people's lives. You see, we are the hands and we are the feet of Jesus. We are to go through this world showing people what would Jesus do. We're all humans. We make mistakes. We react to things in times maybe we shouldn't react. We react to things in ways maybe we shouldn't react. But you know, God is there with us, and he helps us and he guides us. Sometimes in my life, I overreact to things. Sometimes I take things too seriously. Sometimes my calling, I feel I have such a conviction that it's hard for me not to realize other people don't have that conviction. And I am learning that, and I'm growing by that. Recently, I've done a video where I was very convicted about something that I saw somebody else doing that I felt was really wrong. It's still, I feel it's really wrong. But I was convicted in my spirit because I wanted to be firm and let people know that sometimes in life when you see things, it's not always things that are helpful. Sometimes you see things, things people do that can actually be very dangerous. And then I thought about it a lot. I talked to a lot of subscribers about it. I got counseling with friends, you know, to see how do they feel about my reactions to these things. All of them unanimously said that I was reacting in a proper way, that I was being stern, I was showing my authoritativeness with things I've learned, things that I know, and that I was doing it in a right way. I think it's really hard with convictions, and I think it's really hard when you're sharing your convictions with others to just realize not everybody's convicted in the way you are. And when I share things that the Lord has done in my life, I realize not everybody's going to think that way. Not everybody's going to think those magazines came from the Lord. A lot of people will make fun of that and say, she is so drama queen. Oh yeah, God gave her those magazines. But a lot of people will see things like I do. You see, you can't just see things on the great big. You have to see the little things. It's when you see the little things in life is when you become to see the big things. If you can't see what God's doing in the little things in life, you'll never see him in the big things. It takes the little things in life for you to acknowledge the Lord has done for you than to see the big picture. The Lord has done a lot of things in my life. A lot. The Lord has done things daily in my life. And I think that when you have an eyes of a child and you have eyes of things, when your eyes are opened to all the things that the Lord is doing, I think it's only then you start realizing how heaven's windows are wide open while we go through hardships. I wish we wouldn't have to go through any hardships. And I wish that life would be an easy street, but then we wouldn't see the little things in life, the little blessings in life as much. So the first thing I think of is when I get something and I see it and I know that God gave it to me, I'm so touched by it because I've seen it firsthand. But I realize not everyone's hearts are open like that. Not everyone has the convictions. Not everyone has that personal faith. But when you start opening your heart and letting the Lord in just a little bit, you're going to start seeing the blessings. And you'll start realizing, wow, I'm blessed more than I realized I was. That's something I'm learning today. I'm learning tomorrow. And learning that because in this world, there are so many people who are Christians, but we don't all share the same convictions. And it's something I'm learning. I'm learning about that. I'm learning about that just because they didn't share that conviction as I do, and they don't take online world as seriously as I do, that doesn't mean that they don't care. It just means they don't have the conviction spirit that I do. So, take care, everyone, and we'll see you guys tomorrow. And I cannot believe the blessings that came from Nancy, but came directly from the Lord.